Today, I want to provide a case study for a marriage green card case for a German citizen who did adjustment of status from I-485, a green card application from within the United States after getting their J-1 two-year home residency waiver approved. So it's a very unique situation, but a lot of people fall within it. Typically, a German citizen won't have the two-year home residency requirement, but hey, in this case, it did. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. I help married couples get green cards, keep their green cards, and eventually get U.S. citizenship. So let's start with the situation. We had a person here visiting after studying in the U.S. a long time, and their U.S. citizen spouse decided to pop the question and to get married. Obviously, they said yes, they're in love, and then they made the decision to contact an immigration lawyer to see what's going on with their case. And they contacted me, and I realized, well, they'll most likely have an approvable case. However, the main issue is that the foreign spouse has studied in the United States and got some funding, and funding caused them to get subject to a two-year home residency requirement. The J-1 culture exchange visa has a requirement that if you have certain background issues, like not issues per se, but if you study medicine in the United States, you got funding from certain institutions or Fulbright scholarship or things like that, you have to go back to your home country for 2 years before you could come back to the United States to get a green card, an H-1B visa, an L visa to change status, and some other nuances like that. So in this case, we couldn't get a green card, even though they're married, they would be married to a U.S. citizen because of the fact that they had the J-1 two-year home residency requirement. So we had to get that out of the way first. We contacted the Department of State, filled out the necessary forms, and requested the waiver. Overall, it was a clean process. It's just the government's backed up, and it's pretty much still backed up. So it takes 6 or 7 months for the J-1 waiver to be approved. And then it opened the door for us to be able to do adjustment of status because they're married to a U.S. citizen and they entered lawfully. At that point, their status had expired, the tourist visa status, but because they're married to a U.S. citizen, they were able to still adjust status. It's permitted in marriage to U.S. citizen cases if other issues don't exist. Now, what's really important, because a lot of couples going through this, and the question always pops up, when can you file adjustment of status from I-485 when someone has a J-1 two-year home residency requirement that's being waived? So there's 3 steps to the J-1. One is you submit the initial application and get the permission from the home country embassy for this type of waiver that we did. And that's the first step. And then the State Department reviews those documents and gives an approval. And then third, USCIS gives an approval. Now, for adjustment of status from I-485, as per the instructions from I-485, you could file adjustment of status when the Department of State, DOS, accepts the waiver and gives you the email where it says it's approved. Now, it's better that USCIS approve it too. It rarely, if ever, will not approve it if the Department of State approved it. But that's the point where you could do it, and sometimes time is of the essence, so you want to file as soon as possible. You just wait for the DOS determination of approval. So we submitted at that time, and I was around like August 2024, and then time went by, several months went by. Eventually, in April, that's right, 8 months later, we got a notice that an interview was scheduled. Now, at the time of this recording, we've been scheduling a lot of adjustment of status interviews for marriage green card cases. For several years during the Biden administration, they stopped doing that and approved the cases without an interview, but policies changed with new presidents, and right now they require interviews. This was one of the first ones that was required an interview, and the applicant went to Southern California, and they were able to successfully complete the interview and within a few days get approved and get a green card sent to them a week later. So it was a relatively smooth process. The J-1 waiver took a while. That was the thing that pushed things back. But the marriage adjustment case happened 8 months. Pretty good. They had a work permit in the meantime approved as well to hold them over. And they have their green card, a 2-year conditional green card. We'll have to renew after 2 years. It's a requirement for marriage cases that are newer marriages. In the case, the documentation relationship included joint bank accounts, travel records together, photos together, letters from family friends. And so they had a good amount of communication record and stuff like that to show that it was really an authentic marriage. And the person was able to adjust that. It's on a tourist visa. It wasn't expected that they were going to stay here on that trip, but it just, the situation worked out the way it did. And we're really happy it did. A very great couple. We're happy to be able to help them. So I know a lot of people are coming to this video, have the same kind of scenario with the J-1 waiver. Please contact us, schedule a consultation. I remember having one case 10 years ago for a person that came for marriage adjustment to our office. And he didn't even know he was subject to a 2-year home residency requirement. I was flipping through his passport and I saw his visa that says 2-year home residency requirement. And it just caught him off guard. So we had to wait in that case. Like at the time, it was better timelines. I think like 3-4 months for the waiver to be approved. And file for adjustment. The guy has a citizenship now. He's filing for his parents. That was many years ago. But nonetheless, you got to make sure you know what's going on with the J-1. You may read online, Germans, for example, Australians never have J-1 2-year home residence requirements. It's not true. Generally, most of the time, maybe 98% of the time, 99% of the time, they don't. But when you're dealing with millions of people, there's always these exceptions, and that's what lawyers are for, to dig in deep for these exceptions. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to contact our office, go to our website, jqklaw.com/contact. Fill in the boxes there, and we can have a short consultation or not really short, it's usually long, to get more details about your case so you figure out what to do next with your life. Thank you so much for watching.